y'all, Crystal and MrsHappyHomemaker.com. And first off, let me show you my shirt. Is this not hilarious? It said, went outside today, it was cold, and there are people. 0 stars, do not recommend. I saw it on Zulily a couple of weeks ago, and it made me laugh, and I had to have it. I just wanted to share it. Maybe it'll make you laugh too a little bit. Well, I'm in my kitchen, obviously, and I'm about to make dinner tonight. Tonight we're having a meatball enchilada bake. It's got homemade meatballs that are made of pork and beef and then seasoned with jalapenos, garlic, some green onions, cilantro, and enchilada sauce actually inside the meatball. Then they're baked in the oven, put inside of a casserole dish, topped with more enchilada sauce, some cheese, baked until it's bubbly and all the cheese is nice and melted and it's all sorts of delicious. So in my bowl, I had 3/4 pound of ground chuck and 3/4 pound of ground pork. Now to that, I am going to add about 4 cloves of garlic minced, about 1 or 2 jalapenos seeded with the membranes removed. I use 2, and I actually use a little bit of the seeds and membrane in mine because I like the spice, but if you don't like the spice, take out the seeds, take out the membranes, and just use 1 jalapeno. About a 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of chopped cilantro, about a 1/4 cup of chopped green onions, a cup of plain panko breadcrumbs, about a tablespoon of taco seasoning, some pepper, some salt. Now I've got a nice big old can of enchilada sauce. I'm gonna use about a heaping cup of this in my meatball mixture. And the rest of this I'm gonna put on top of the meatballs with cheese when they come out. So I'm gonna get in here and start mixing it up. You can't afraid to get your hands dirty when you're making meatballs. Now, if you want to take a shortcut, you don't have to make your own meatballs. You could just like buy store-bought meatballs, but you're not going to have the same flavors that these have in them. This has got the enchilada sauce in it. This has got the cilantro, the jalapeno, the garlic. The ones you buy, the frozen ones, just aren't the same. And it's funny how like you can even smell the flavors in raw meat. You can tell it's going to be good because of your nose before it's even cooked. So I've got that all mixed in there. You don't want to mix the meat too much because the more you mix meatballs, it's kind of like dough. The more you mix your meat, the tougher the meatball is going to be. So I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'll show you what it looks like. You can kind of see though, but I'm gonna go use some soap. So that's what it looks like, all mixed up. You can see all the colors in there. That's all the flavor. So I've got my parchment paper lined baking sheet, an ice cream scoop with a nice little springy thing that pulls the stuff outside of it real easy. And I'm just gonna make me little scoops of meatballs and put them on my baking sheet just like that. And just do that until all the meat mixture has been used, and I've got a whole bunch of meatballs going on. So I have got my meatballs all meatballed up. This mixture makes about 16 meatballs, about yay size. I'm gonna put them in my oven, 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. They're gonna be nice and golden brown and beautiful. So my meatballs have come out of the oven. Now you can eat these just as they are. I mean, they're delicious, but we're gonna take it a step further and make it into a little enchilada meatball bake. So I'm gonna put these right here. And the meatballs that I made earlier, remember I put enchilada sauce, but I just used about a heaping cup of the can. Well, I'm gonna use the rest of it in here. So I'm gonna pour enough to cover the bottom of a 9x13 dish into the pan. Tilt it to get all the bits of it. And I'm gonna take pepper jack cheese. You can also use Monterey Jack. And I'm gonna use about 2 cups, but about 1 cup on the bottom of the casserole dish to give it like a nice enchilada cheesy base. There we go. And I'm gonna take the meatballs and nestle them in there in the cheese and enchilada sauce. So I have got my meatballs inside the casserole dish, nestled in the cheese and the enchilada sauce. And I'm gonna take my enchilada sauce and wipe off my hand because it was a little bit icky. And pour the enchilada sauce on top of the meatballs. And I'm gonna take the rest of the pepper jack cheese and put it on top of this. And because I like cheese and that's not near enough cheese for me, I'm gonna take some of this shredded cheddar and put a little bit of cheddar on there. There we go. So that should have been 2 cups of, you see my cat, I don't know if you can see him, he's like jumping up and driving me crazy. He smells it and he is such a beggar. His name is Romeo, and he Romeos the heck out of me. Romeo. He's hoping for cheese. His cat loves some cheese. So I am going to pop this in the oven for about 15-20 minutes on 400 degrees until the sauce is nice and bubbly and the cheese is all melted and gooey and wonderful. And I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. Look at that. I am going to garnish it with a little bit of chopped fresh cilantro and some chopped green onions. Yum. A little bit of that sauce. Oh, yes, honey.